His Holiness Harshana Maharaj ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. Gaur Premanande. Gaur Premanande. Hare Hare.
Happy birthday.
Oh, Krishna.
Celebrate your turning 60 years young. With the appearance of Lord Nishingadev approaching, it's an opportune time to prepare our hearts to receive Him. In the Srimad Bhagavatam chapter where Prahlad leads the residents of Varshana in praise of Lord Nrsimha. He prays, "O my Lord, with your nails and teeth like thunderbolts, please vanquish the demon-like desires that are tormenting our hearts. Make peace prevail throughout the worlds, and may all envious personalities be pacified by your grace. May we all engage in the service of the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna, and always remain absorbed in loving thoughts of Him." From that prayer, we can just between Lord Nishingadev and Radha Krishna Prem. In his Sharanagati, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings the definition of the Sharanagati. Humility, dedication of the self, conviction that Krishna will surely protect one's only maintainer. The youthful son of Nanda Maharaj hears the prayers of those who approach him through this sixfold process. In the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj, well, his prayers follow. Actually, the seventh canto is dedicated to Prahlad's teachings through his instructions to the sons of Asuras at Asura Kula, culminating in his prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev. And Lord Nrsimha is very illuminating response to Prahlad's prayers. Lord Nrsimhadev is the personification of Krishna's protective nature. And that manifests in different ways for different levels of devotees. How protection from hostile elements towards the society of devotees. Hostile elements without. Unfavorable desires and anarthas within. And for advanced devotees, Lord Nrsimha protects them from the unbearable anguish of separation, which leads the devotees to give up their own existence. Gaitam nimeshena chakshusha pralashaitam sunyaitam jagatsarvam govinda virahena. Oh my Lord, feeling separation from you. A moment expands into, depending on how you translate, 12 years or more, or millennia of anguish. When everything is void and vacant, bereft of all life, in the absence of Govinda. Chaitanya means life. Chaitanya Charitamrita means the character of that life force in immortality. And to protect the devotees, Kuchavasu, from that unbearable anguish of separation from Krishna, Lord Nrsimhadev resides eternally, just uphill a little bit from Apsara Kund, Punchali, on the Parikrama path, on Nrsimhatira, where his temple grounds award a beautiful panoramic view of Govardhan Hill. Another feature of Krishna protecting his devotees. Seventh canto begins with Maharaj Parikshit asking Shukadeva Swami, how, if Krishna is truly impartial, the well-wishing friend of everyone, how is it that he kills the demons and protects the devotees? And Shukadeva Goswami answers in so many ways. And Srila Prabhupada elaborates. Srila Prabhupada is a very simple explanation. He explains that this is not partiality, it's natural. You have a different relationship, a different interaction with your loved ones than adversaries. That's natural. partial. Another understanding is that being the well-wishing friend of everyone, Krishna reciprocates with devotees by accepting their service and reciprocating accordingly. Whereas for the demons, by killing them, they're liberated. Another way to understand is through Krishna's own explanations in Bhagavad Gita when he reveals the absolute truth in the three features of Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. Paramatma, the witness, is impartial. He's just awarding the results of our desires and our endeavors. Impartial. And Brahman, who seems to be perfectly impersonal, whereas Bhagavan is very partial towards his devotees. And that's natural. As we approach whatever mood, whatever bhav inspires our worship, it reciprocates in an appropriate manner. And in Navadvipa Dham, in Chaitanya Lila, Lord Nishinadi revealed himself in a very wonderful way. Not to kill the demons, but to kill the demoniac mentality by facilitating their receiving Krishna prema. Vishwakarma, the architect of the demigods, foreseeing the night when Lord Gauranga would lead a massive Nagara Sankirtan. I mean, chroniclers have calculated that it was at least hundreds of thousands, others estimate it was millions, far beyond what the city could sustain. And it appeared, and it was the reality, that didn't want to miss out on this opportunity, so they descended into this one to participate. So Sri Vishwakarma, foreseeing how the Lord in his golden form would be dancing in Nagar Sankirtan, which seemed to last for one night, but actually surpassed Rasa Leela, which expanded into a nighttime of Brahma, millions and billions of years, whereas the Sankirtan of Lord Gauranga expanded into many. So Vishwakarma, understanding Lord Gauranga will seem to be so oblivious to his own physical condition. When he becomes thirsty, I would like to offer him the choice of 8 crystalline ponds filled with celestial water so he can take his choice where to go to quench his thirst. So he created those ponds. This was the time when, just after the deliverance of Jagai and Marai, which was the first public appearance of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan parties, because up until that time, it was like a group of scientists experimenting with some secret weapon. They did not know what the effects would be. And in those kirtans, Lord Gauranga would go through such ecstatic mood changes. Sometimes he would become so light, he would just float like a cotton swab in the air. And this mood would change, he'd come crashing down to the ground, making the earth tremble like an earthquake. And when he and Nitai happened to come down at the same time, it was like the earth collided with another planet. Lighter than the lightest, heavier than the thinner. He would transform all different hues, spectrum, ignorance. Other times it'd be so cold, like a child out in Vrindaban in winter. Shattered. And Kavi Karnapur learned from his father, Shivananda Singh, the devotees would address one another by their names from Braj Lila, which is how Hare Krishna is established. Who's who in Krishna Lila. So with the deliverance of Jaga and Madhai and the Sankirtan being out in public for a brief period, it had various effects. For those who really wanted to see Lord Gauranga's Sankirtan pastimes, they were very hopeful. And now they're not barred entry to the locked doors of Srila Sangha. There's a chance that they could see Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan pastimes. But there again, as we approach him, he's reporting for the atheists, the offenders, the smartest, who had kept their scriptural understanding shrouded in secrecy and mystery, having a monopoly on scriptural teaching, which was a lucrative profession for them because they were maintained by the lower castes who depended on them to reveal and explain the Shastra. And after the deliverance of Jaga and Madhai, when common people from all castes, because Lord Gauranga, he didn't discriminate caste, creed, gender. He gave the same scriptural teachings to everyone. Olo Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Krishna Kora Siksha, Krishna Bhaja, Krishna Mata, Krishna Pran. And the smartest, the Brahmins, the savants, which means Bhagat basically, but it comes from the same root as Savior. They're realizing that their monopoly on the so-called religion is being undermined. And because their vital interests were at stake, they made a move which was really shameful. When Jaga and Madhai were prowling the city, supposedly the chieftains, they knew that, hey, there's somebody that can suppress Lord Chaitanya's movement when they join the movement. Smartas approached the Chavakasa, the Muslim governor of the city, who is Kamsa from Krishna Lila, who is the great-grandson of the Nawab Hussain Shah, the emperor of Bengal, who was idiot. This bizarre movement, cartels, lumbers, making Gibson heart, and he'll be enraged and destroy the city. You're obliged to protect us. He's become a little interested. But it was when they revealed that if you don't take action, we will report you to the Mahaprabhu Shah, which is very concerning. So one night, right around sunset, when the devotees are following Lord Chaitanya's instructions, everyone is gathering with their family and friends and neighbors having kirtan. When appeared on the scene the Chankazi, leading his thousands of ferocious Afghan barbarian cavalry and infantry. And they broke the mridangas, they seized the cartels, they beat the devotees, they plundered their homes, and they threatened them with dire consequences if they ever dared to have kirtan again. And this was very intimidating. The mere presence of these Afghan locals was very threatening to the gentle devotees, especially because all they had to do was enter your house with this pour a little water from their pot on your head, and you became an outcast. Now, to us that might not seem so unfavorable, but in that society, it was very threatening. So the kirtan became very subdued. And that really diminished the life of the devotees. So they approached Lord Gauranga and explained their dilemma to him. And he said, just depend on Krishna. Continue the kirtan fearlessly, and we'll see how Krishna protects you. So they went back out on Sankirtan, and again the Chankasi appeared with his thousands of ferocious Afghan Moguls. But strangely enough, this night, he was not so intimidating as he was the previous. And it seemed like his heart wasn't even really in it. He made some feeble gesture to just be quiet, then he disappeared. But just the thought that they could appear any time, perform any horrific activity, was kind of discouraging to the devotees. So they again came before Lord Gauranga. He said, you can't live without kirtan. Will you give your blessings that we leave Navadvip to escape the fear of this Chankasi? And Lord Gauranga, his beautiful moonlight face was like the perfection and consummation of artistic splendor. Irresistibly beautiful. His features changed to such an extent it was difficult to even glance at him. He said, Rudra is made partial expansion, and you will see his full-fledged fury if the Chankasi tries to stop you again. So assemble tonight for huge Nagar Sankirtan. The Chankasi wants to stop Sankirtan, he will first have to stop me. So go, tell everyone to gather here tonight with a torch and a pot of oil to keep it burning for a long, long, long night. And then the devotees were, and I will lead Sankirtan. The news spread like wildfire. And within a few hours, hundreds of thousands of residents of Navadvip assembled around Versace's house, each one holding a torch. While inside, Lord Chaitanya was being held almost captive by Gadadhar and Narahari, who were dressing him to make him so like pujaris, they just won't, and then sometimes it creates some tension. Authorities, doors have to open on time, we're not done, and it's all this stress. So it's like that. He wanted to go lead the kirtan, but they held him, dressing him in the most exquisite golden dhoti and shutter, painting his face with beautiful embellishments of various colors. And they combed his hair and tied it in a top knot, which was encircled with jasmine flowers. And when finally Gadadhar and Narahari were satisfied, he came out the door, and the crowd was hushed to see his captivating beauty. And then he uttered his hunkar. It's like a war cry. It was a Hari Bol, and the crowds erupted with a Hari Bol. And then he formed 4 major Sankirtan parties. Advaita in the lead, followed by Srivas Thakur, followed by Haridas Thakur. And each had their lead singers and mridanga players and dancers. And then Lord Chaitanya told Nitai and Gadadhar, you each stand, stay with me on either side. That was the 4th party. So the parties began singing mantra, dancing through the streets. And the Lord Chaitanya said he would dance in the streets. Nobody. So every street, every house, every doorway, every archway was decorated with all emblems of welcome. Mango trees, water pots filled with sacred waters, covered with mango leaf trees, and everything was painted with all these beautiful embellishments, flowers, gardens. And the ladies on the balcony had heaps of flower petals and puffed rice to shower down on the road. So every house was an emblem of welcome. So they started dancing down the road between the Ganges and the residential areas. And they were so immersed in the sounds of the holy name, they completely forgot that this is a civil disobedience movement challenging the authority of the Charan Wisconsin. They completely was oblivious. Just immersed in joy because the Lord told them that tonight there will be a deluge of prem which will wash away all opposition. And they were so immersed in that nectar that they were dancing in such joy. And as sometimes happens to devotees, especially in certain kirtans, some of them get stark mad. They would climb up into trees or break off twigs and jump back on the ground imagining that these are lethal weapons. Where are the atheists? Bring them on. Others had a very different response. They would just fall prostrate before anybody and everybody, just taking the dust of their feet, seeking to please the Lord by their humility. Others said, "O Yamadutas, go tell your master he has no jurisdiction in Navadvip from now on, because the sinners will all be purified. There's no need to torment them any further." And Lord Garuda, he would sometimes raise into the air with his long arms outstretched. And in the sea of devotees, he was visible because everywhere, because he was the tallest and fairest of all, engulfed in a golden aura with a floating halo over his head. And then, as nighttime approached, all the torches burst into flame, and it was brighter than the midday sun. Or was it like the Brahma? And Lord Gauranga, sometimes he would fall down in ecstasy, unconscious, then he would raise up. Sometimes he would stand in a threefold bending form and play on his flute. There was visions of paradise, angels dancing, flowers, Parijata flowers descending from the sky. As the Kirtan party moved on, until they reached the road to Sumilia, where the Chankasi lived. And even though Lord Gauranga was in the rear party, Advaita's party up front took that road, and then everybody remembered, we're supposed to be confronting the Chankasi. And then they really went mad. Meanwhile, in the Chankasi's palace, he heard this tumultuous singing and dancing. What is that? I've never seen such big processions except when a big person's getting married. So he asked his spies, "Oh, I know what that is." So they went galloping off on their horses and never came back. They were swallowed into the crowd. And being Muslims, quite conspicuous among shaved-up devotees, realizing it. So they took off their turbans and wrapped them around their waist, took their beards under their chins and held their face down, and put their arms up and started chanting Hare Krishna. So the Chankasi's wondering, why didn't my spies come back? So they looked out, and then he distinctly heard the devotees are singing Hare Krishna. I ordered them to stop. Are they coming in defiance of my command? So he sent out his first wave of cavalry, charging off, thinking that now the kirtan will transition into screams and cries of tormented agony and terror and pain. But instead, the kirtan grew louder, because the cavalry was absorbed in the crowd. Set on a second wave of reinforcements. The kirtan just got louder. Nobody came back. He sent out his last wave of reinforcements, and they never came back. Chankasi is the only man left in the palace, and he was engulfed. And when the avant-garde reached the palace, there was a, what was it called? There was a, within, like a refrain to the Hare Krishna mantra was the Mar Kazi, kill the Kazi. So he's hearing Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, kill the cousin, kill the cousin. And then he felt like a frog being chased by a snake, running around seeking a place to hide. There was no place to hide. He was totally surrounded. So he decided he would give up his life protecting the ladies in the inner apartment. So he went in and locked the door. When the devotees reached the avant-garde, they remembered. They were angry. So they started tearing down the walls, demolishing the houses, picking all the flowers and decorating themselves to dance, and thinking that that would please the Lord. But when he arrived, he said, "Forbear, you fools." Hushed into peaceful demeanor. And the Lord asked some of his associates who knew the temple, please invite him to come. And you? So they went in, because he knew them, and they assured him there's nothing to fear. The Lord simply wants your association. So the Champazi came out, his head bowed down low, in great humility, and the Lord stood up to show him respect worthy of a government office. And then they sat down together. And Lord Gauranga addressed the Kazi as your uncle, because he was a friend of Vrindaban Chakravarti, the Sachi's father. They had a uncle-nephew kind of relationship. So he addressed the Kazi like your uncle. Of course, the underlying secret is, this is Kamsa, Krishna's uncle, which some could discern, but not most. My dear uncle, I come to visit you, you're hid behind locked doors. What kind of reception is this? I said, well, your followers were very angry and I was fearful. Nothing. And then they asked him, why? The first night you appeared with your armies to suppress the Sankirtan. But then he found every quarter where he suppressed it, and went to the next quarter, it rose up again. So why, when you appeared to suppress the Sankirtan, you were very spirited the first night, but then the second night, it seemed like your heart wasn't into it. So, what's going on? And he said, well, my soldiers came back after the kirtan, and they were traumatized. Their faces were blistered, their beards were burned off. They said when they attacked the devotees, flames came out of the air, burned them. But the really funny thing was, when they're trying to tell me what happened, they couldn't stop chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Because he said, why are you chanting Hare Krishna? He said, we just kind of stuck, we can't stop. So we'll go home for this thing. And then, in the middle of the night, I had this fearsome dream. This creature had the body of
Jai Narasimha.
body of a man, his face and claws of a lion. Jumped on my chest and put his nails to my heart. He said, I have come to bifurcate your chest, just like you broke that redundant. I was trembling in total terror. And then he said to me, "This is no good." You didn't create too much disturbance that night, so I will forgive you. But if you ever again try to disrupt my Sankirtan parties, I will destroy you and all the meat eaters. And then Shankazi said, "My dear, they call you my nephew because you're not of this world. My dear, Gaur Hari," that's what the devotees call you. Dear Gaur Hari. The Hindus worship Krishna. And I think that you are he. Is it so? Lord Rama didn't answer. Yeah, because his fear. And then a storm of emotion started brewing in his heart. Tears lighted down his beard. Generations take birth in my family line on their heads. And then huge Sankirtan resumed. The Chankazi started dancing off with the devotees. Lord Gauranga told him, "You have to stay in the palace." He didn't tell him why. We hear from Vrindaban or something very intimate followed. It was only for the very fortunate devotees to behold. They danced in the midst of all those crystalline ponds filled with celestial waters offered by Vishwakarma. But when Lord Gauranga suddenly realized he was very thirsty, he was in the orchard of Kulvit Sridhar. That simple banana wala, so devoted to Mother conscience. And he just asked the most modest price, the best deal anywhere in town for his bananas and banana flowers, banana leaves for plates. And every day, one customer would add it up for Well, that Sridhar is just this little Bengali, Lord Gauranga's 7 feet tall. And you take a clump of bananas and ask, "How much for this?" And so many little pouches. "What? That's outrageous. You're cheating the brahmanas. What kind of business is this?" And more holes than that. He had so many holes. He had so many holes. It was all tied together. You have the greatest treasure. You have the greatest treasure. And you're hoarding it. Feasting sumptuously in seclusion. And one of these days, I'm going to expose you and reveal your treasure to all the world. What are you talking about? What can I do that you just leave me alone? So you give them bananas, just take them. Hey, come back every day. That Sridhar's a gold upper bread, so they like to play like the boys. So when Lord Gauranga realized he's so thirsty, remember he's in circles by crystalline ponds filled with nectar. He went right to the broken iron water pot. It was so dilapidated, even a thief wouldn't take it. It held water for external use only, just washing your feet before you go in the house. Now remember, this is reciprocation, this is not partiality. Kolavet Sridhar used whatever he made in the worship of Mother Ganges because she is the Charnamrita, Lord Vamana. He's worshiping the water which has washed the Lord's lotus feet. What is the Lord doing in reciprocation? He picked up that broken iron pot and began drinking sumptuous. Devotees were appalled. They were shocked. They couldn't do anything. And when Kolavet Sridhar came out, now I'm doomed. He's come to kill me. He's drinking the water from the broken iron pot. And then Lord Chaitanya said, now I have at last experienced real devotion by the effects of this water. And Lord Chaitanya smiled so charmingly that now his desires for the evening were perfectly fulfilled. And in the morning, when the sun rose, the city revealed the most novel appearance. It was as if millions of sweepers had cleansed every road. Because the devotees dancing, their devotees and saris sweeping the road. And every house was decorated so artistically and beautifully, with emblems of welcome. And it was as he said, tonight there will be a deluge of prema which will wash away all inartness, all opposition. And the Chankas became such a devout follower of the Lord that to this day his samadhi is a major pilgrimage site on the peripheral path. And from his samadhi grows a most unique tree. It's a champak tree. Embracing, like one trunk, champak and a neem tree, intertwined as if embracing. Neem represents Nimai. Champak was the Chankasi's nickname. Because he loved champak flowers. And that tree showers champak flowers on Chankasi's samadhi. And illustrates that Lord Gauranga is the desire tree who fulfills our every wish in the touchstone of the Holy Name. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
After writing this illuminating Navadvip Mahatma, words of followed by Bhavatam, which starts out like a summary study of Navadvip Mahatma, but then it becomes interactive. He's having darshan of all divine personalities. In the beginning was Surya, rising at dawn with Kantimala and Tilakarna, welcoming pilgrims in Navadvip Dham. I, Indra, and Rama, and Shiva, we're all servants of Lord Govinda. We welcome his land. And then he's the Pandavas and Lakshman gathering roots and fruits for Sita to cook for Ram when they are in exile in Navadvip Dham. He's meeting all these personalities. And then at Vrindaban, Deva, on the bank of Gandaki, where the deity of Lord Nishinga from Satya Yuga is still there. And he reveals how at the doorway to Lord Nishinga's temple, they will roll in the dust and pray that the Lord purify me, free me from all anarthas. Although he's terrible to the demons, he's so protective to the devotees. And then Lord Nishinga, he places his paw upon my head and addresses me, dear child, stay here in the forest and worship Radha Krishna in the form of their holy names, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. By the mercy of my devotees, all obstacles will be overcome. An ecstatic love for Radha Krishna. And even in Nanda Maharaj's palace, Narada Muni instructed the king. He installed Lord Nishingadev for the protection of Krishna's body. And when Krishna couldn't sleep one night, Mother Yashoda singing lullabies of Ram Leela and Krishna's pastimes the day before, why aren't you falling asleep? Sleep's not coming to me today. So Mother Yashoda said, I will tell you a story you've never heard before. I said, what's that, Mata? She tells him the pastime of Krishna. And Gopal, in his little bed, is listening. And then when he hears how the stone pillar shattered and the form of Nrsingadev came out to protect little Prahlad, Gopal smiled so peacefully and fell asleep. So we all like to see justice because we're part and parcel of Krishna. But justice is really the law of karma. It's under the jurisdiction of Durga. What we need is mercy in its most unreserved and indiscriminate form. That comes from Lord Rama. Higher still is grace. The gift of Lord Nityananda. Who, after his experience in approaching Bhavan Mada, didn't exactly change Lord Chaitanya's instructions that you go to every house and ask them, Bodha Krishna, Bodha Krishna, Bodha Krishna, Krishna, Mata, Krishna, Mata God. And then after the whole drama of Bhavan Mada, he didn't exactly change the instruction. He adjusted it. Vaja Goranga Kaha Goranga Vaja Goranga
Hare Bol, Hare Bol.
Everybody sing. We sing happy birthday or Hare Krishna.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Swami. Happy birthday to you. May you never take birth again. May you never take birth again. May you never take birth again. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much. Blessings from Maharaj and all the wonderful Vaishnavas assembled here. But just one desire that I seek today, since you all said, now my desire is within the core of my heart. May that desire emanate like Prahlad Maharaj, that let me eternally serve my spiritual master, Naraji. So similarly, I pray that someday that desire fructifies within my heart, that I will eternally serve His Divine Grace Prabhupada. So, taking birth or not taking birth is not so important. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you very much.
His Holiness Varshana Swami ki. And again, once again, thank you for your blessings, the assembled Prabhupada disciples, senior Vaishnavas in our community, and all young and old for being here, celebrating Narshinga Chaturdashi with Maharaj's nectarian katha. It's hard to stop Maharaj. Today, somehow or the other, he just stopped on his own.
Maharaj, I have a question for you. You touched upon this in your presentation, and this question has been with me for more than 40 years. You spoke about the associates of Lord Chaitanya in the Krishna Lila, and said how they would address one another by their names from Krishna Lila. And I've always wondered about how Kavi Karnapur was able to write the Gorganesh Deepika and be able to factually state this person in Krishna Lila was so-and-so.
Because you heard it from his father.
Okay,
She did on the same.
so from his father and not from the individuals themselves, or combination? or-
Combination.
Oh,
It was a spontaneous thing,
which was?
them calling one another by their names through Braj Leela. But, you know, when they became intoxicated with kirtan, and they were, in a sense, entering Braj Leela, called themselves by the appropriate names accordingly. Shikran Singh heard it. Kavi Karnapur heard it, both from the spot and different associates. And compiled the broader Goddess Deepika accordingly.
So he was like the scribe, not to minimize his position, but
Yeah, he was a scribe.
like the scribe, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I have a comment. The Chankazi Samadhi, the village it's in, I believe it's called Bamanpur. And when I was living in that area, the villagers knew about the history. You know, it's predominantly Muslim area. I mean, predominantly Muslim. In fact, our Jagannath temple there is surrounded by Muslim villages. But they get along very well because of the vow that Chankazi made. And the local people are aware of that, and they live in harmony. Not necessarily happily, but they honor the Kazi's vow.
I can offer an anecdote to that. When we were at Parikrama, we spent the night at
Jagannath's temple, which is right next to Kolavich Sridhar's plantation. So they asked me to direct the devotees in performing a drama. It was a drama of Kolavich Sridhar. And, yeah, there's just a few of us. So I was focused on directing everybody, get their minds right and act right. And then I was just watching the devotees. I wasn't paying attention to what was going on in the background. And then after Lord Gauranga took the water, he said, now I feel devotion to Krishna, and the devotees burst into kirtan. There was hundreds of voices in the kirtans. We turned around to look. It's Muslims. We had an audience of Muslims for the drama. I was oblivious because I was just directing the characters, the players. We had a few devotees with a huge congregation of Muslims having Sankirtan in Kolavich Sridhar's orchard. So that's like an expansion of that mandate of John Cousin. And the descendants of Madai also, they're still living in the area. He didn't marry, but he had a lot of children regardless. And they're proud to be descendants of Madai. Very emblem of where the nuns was. Any other questions or comments?
There's a historical, what's the word? Kind of like that time. Just, 20, 30 years ago, maybe 40 years ago, like that. When one of the local Muslims was, one of the devotees from Jagannath Temple offered this fellow some of his Mahaprasad. He said no. He turned it down, just like. And the devotee was a little bit surprised. But then the next day, the same man came back to the temple, Jagannath Temple, and in a mood of great humility, he begged for some of the Lord's Mahaprasad. And the same devotee that I offered him the previous day said, yesterday, you refused. And he told a story of what happened to him that night when he was sleeping. And that Lord Nrsingadev sat on his body, and with his claws he was going to rip his heart out. And he opened his kurta, and the devotees could see just the fresh scratches across his chest. And he begged, please give me some of those, Mom.
Deva, which is where Lord Nrsingadev washed his hands. And it's interesting because Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes the river there as Gandaki. Gandaki emerges from Bihar. But he's seeing the individual rivers as individual personalities even within the total context. So, we're there again, we camped out there one night. And the water in that, it's not a continuous river, it's just a long piece of river that dead ends on both. And the water's just harsh. But it was quite humorous because you couldn't answer the call of nature without these little Bengali boys going everywhere with you. And it was really awkward. I asked them, why do they do that? He said, because this is Devapali, where the demigods took up residence after Lord Nrsinga washed his hands there and the deity was installed. The demigods resided there. These little boys haven't seen white people before, so they're just assuming you're demigods. You don't have to answer the call of nature, so they want to just be with you. So it it's very charming and innocent, though awkward. Anything else? Shri Prahlad Nrsimha Bhagavan Ki Jai. Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi.